Blues and Crusaders, Super Rugby Aotearoa this weekend. Well, as a Blues fan, I would like to think we are traditional rivals, and traditionally we were, the Blues and the Crusaders, but man, it's hard to say you're rivals when you've been getting the beat down since 2014. Last time the Blues had a victory over the Crusaders. It's a very long time ago. But anyway, it's a fresh game, it's a new game. It's another chance for the Blues, and it's a much better Blues side than we have had in many a year. We'll go through the squads, the predictions, some of the stats, and good news for you guys in North America. Apparently, they're actually showing Super Rugby Aotearoa in North America now, so happy days. I'll talk about that towards the end as well. But yeah, Blues are 2-0, Crusaders are 3-0. Neither of this side has had a win already. Super Rugby Aotearoa is starting to look like a bit of a two-horse race. This weekend you've got the two winless teams and the two lossless teams playing each other. The Blues and the Crusaders are looking like the front runners. But it's still early days, but it's hard to say it's early days because it's such a short season. Crusaders are almost halfway through their season. So yeah, someone else is going to have to pick it up soon, and someone needs to beat the Crusaders. Maybe it'll be the Blues this weekend anyway. The Blues have picked a fair few All Blacks in their side, although they've got a couple of guys out as well. Hodgman, Tolai, and Laulala are the front row, so two All Black props, and on the bench there's being a lot made of the fact that they've got Tui Nukuafe and Tui Ngofasi, so they've got four All Blacks props. They'll be trying to turn the screws at scrum time, but I mean, the Crusaders pack starting Moody and Ala Alatoa, so that's two international props as well. Ala Alatoa probably could have been a Wallaby. Maybe was close to being an All Black, but he ended up representing Samoa, so good for him. He's also an international. Bauer has been pretty bloody good as well, and Oli Jaeger is back, so it's hardly a Crusaders pack which is going to be shaking in its boots. But the scrum contest should be a good one. Tolai is certainly less experienced than Taylor, who is the Crusaders hooker. Tupulotu and Goodhue is a pretty good lock and duo. Tupulotu is one of the better ball-carrying locks, and I've been mentioning for a long time that his ball handling has improved in the last kind of 18 months, 2 years. But, I mean, you got Scott Barrett and Sam Whitelock. So, type 5, maybe you give that to the Crusaders, man. That lock and duo is second to none in New Zealand. But it's good to have Goodhue and Tupulotu. They'll certainly put their hands up for the Blues. The back row, maybe you like the Blues one here. Akira Ioane has been in phenomenal form. His work rate is still high. That kind of form that saw him become an All Black. Blake Gibson has had to step in for Dalton Papali'i as he has a bit of concussion. So he's recovering, but Blake Gibson's still pretty good. Competitive at the breakdown. And Hoskins Sotutu has put his hand up as one of the premier number 8s. He's made a difference to the All Blacks, often when he's coming off the bench. So I think he can make an impact as well. The Crusaders are no slouches, as always. There's no position you look at the Crusaders and go, that's a weakness. They got Blackadder, who's had a heck of a work rate, and if he can stay fit, maybe he can go in All Blacks contention as well. Sione Havili has had to move to number 7 because Christie is out. He's got a shoulder injury, and that's kind of bad news because he is that. I mean, Blackadder's got the high work rate as well, but Christie just makes tackle after tackle after tackle, and they will miss that guy who just springs up after every time he's on the deck to get up and make another tackle. You can't kind of coach that attitude. And Cullen Grace is there at number 8 as well. So I don't know. It's tight. The front row battle should be tight. The second row, I'll probably edge it to the Crusaders, and the back row, I edge it to the Blues, but it's a team game, so whichever forward pack fronts up best should get their team going forward. Ruru and Otere Black is probably not quite as flash as Hall and Mo'unga. It's interesting, the Crusaders keep rotating Drummond and Hall, and just when I thought Drummond was getting on top back for the Blues, they bring back former Bluesman Bryn Hall. So he'll be wanting to get a win. He's certainly enjoyed his time down in Christchurch since moving to the Crusaders. Otere Black, though, has been kicking really well and just running the show really well, whereas Mo'unga, in terms of like actual running, if you want to go who's going to clock up the run meters and get defenders beaten, he is your guy. So very different styles from those two guys. Plummer and Rico Ioane is the midfield up against David Havili and Jack Goodhue. Yeah, there's probably no doubt Which midfield is probably the more fancied one, and it would be the Crusaders. Rico is obviously an All Black, but not that many times in the mid, and he's still learning. Harry Plummer, I will give him his credit again. He has someone mentioned he's bulked up a bit over the off-season. He's looked better. Maybe that's why. Maybe he's just put a few more kegs on him. Havili is relatively at Super Rugby level. He's usually a fullback, but he can go into the midfield, and he looked good last week, so I don't think he'll be missing a beat at all. And Good Hugh is a regular in the midfield for the All Blacks and the Crusaders. Back three, Caleb Clark. He's up against Sevu Reece. That's kind of a big man, little man, but Reece is strong. So yeah, both very electric wingers. Bryce Heem has come into the right wing because Mark Talea is injured. As soon as Bryce Heem, because my old man was over there yesterday, and he was looking on his phone, refreshing for the squads, and when they finally came out, his words were, Bryce Heem looks at me, you're faster than him, which is not saying a lot. He's experienced, 32 years old, he's been around the block, man, a bit of a journeyman at this point of his career. We will see how he goes. He's up against Lester Fainga Nuku, so that could be trouble, but maybe the experience counts. That's one area Leicester is maybe lacking compared to Bryce. Peter Feta has been good at fullback, proper distributor, but he's a bit of a different player from Will Jordan. Will Jordan is just going to cut you to bits on his own. He's got that. It's almost like magic that he runs at guys and they just kind of seem to stand off him and wait to see what he does. And as soon as you wait, he just runs. But I guess if you commit yourself, he's so agile that he can just take you and make you look stupid by going another direction. So he's a really hard guy to defend. Peter Feta, more of a playmaker than kind of an individual brilliance man. But again, there's no right way to do it as long as your team's doing well. And Peter Feta has been good. So those are the lineups for this big clash. The benches, Eklund, Tuangafasi, and Tuanganukwafe, like I mentioned, Kali Tuioti, Robinson, Choate. So the Blues have gone 6-2 split with Christie and Faiane covering the backs. Good to have Christie back. McAllister, Bauer, Jaeger, Dunshay, Douglas are the forwards for the Crusaders, Drummond, Burke, and McLeod. It's a bit harsh on McLeod, seeing as Jordan's getting the start at fullback. That pushes Havili into 12, which pushes McLeod to the bench. And McLeod looked good in those first couple of games as well. But yeah, interesting times. 2014 was that last Blues win. I had a look at the teams that played that day. You had the likes of Parsons, who was the closest Blues guy who could have been playing in this game. Obviously, he retired at the end of the season. You had Pietau, Halai, you had Luatua, Famuina, Luke Braid, Ta'avao was still playing, but not for the Blues. You had Benji Marshall on the bench. Goodness me. The Blues were wearing that jersey, but the home version. And the Crusaders were wearing that jersey. So maybe that's a good omen that I got both these jerseys. Probably not. Probably doesn't matter a damn. Whitelock was playing. Sam Whitelock was still playing in that game. So he's probably the only Crusader in this lineup that has ever lost to the Blues in a Crusaders jersey. None of these guys have lost to the Blues apart from Whitelock. McCaw was playing, Owen Franks, Kieran Reid, Ryan Crotty, Willie Hines off playing in England. Laulala, I think, who's now playing for the Blues, was on the Crusaders bench for that one. But yeah, man, it's a long time ago. 2014. Stats, the Crusaders are averaging 4.6 tries a game. The Blues 4.5, pretty much the same. The Blues are getting more run meters. The Crusaders are kicking it a bit more. Blues 500 run meters a game. The Crusaders are like 441, so not much in it. The Crusaders are kicking 23 times a game, so 5 more times than the Blues. 18 times a game. The Blues goal kicking percentage is higher, 84.6. The Crusaders are at 75, so maybe that's an area of weakness for the Crusaders. Maybe it just means they score a lot of tries in the corner. Blues, slightly better discipline, 11.5 penalties conceded a game. The Crusaders, 12.3. And the Crusaders cop a lot of stick about their discipline, but there's not much difference. The Blues scrum is at 100%. The Crusaders scrum is at 95.7%, so there's not much difference. Like I said, the front row battle should be a great one. The Blues line-out is definitely an area of weakness. The Crusaders are at 97.8% on their line-out. The Blues are at 78.8%, which is poor. They'll need to be way better than that. And the Crusaders' defense is better, 87% tackling percentage. The Blues are at 81%. If the Blues fall off tackles, even if they get their goal kicks that the Crusaders miss, it ain't going to matter. They'll need to win their own line-out ball, and they'll need to make their tackles. Bookies have got the Crusaders by 1 point. Rugby Forecast algorithm, Crusaders by 1 point. So despite the fact they're away from home, the Crusaders go into this one as favourites. 3:35 Sunday in New Zealand time. I'm not sure what the time is in the States, but apparently ESPN.com.ar, which is the Argentinian website /rugby, is the place to go where you can stream the games. It looks like it's free. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I jumped on a VPN USA, clicked on the link, and it took me straight to a streaming service and said the game hasn't started yet. So maybe it's free. Either way, it's good news because you guys in North America, like Canada and USA, have not been able to watch the games as yet. But yeah, Blues Crusaders, go the Blues. Hope they can get the job done for the first time since my children have been born. Be nice. There's a whole generation of kids at school who have never seen their Blues beat the Crusaders. Anyway, is this the weekend to get it done? Apparently not. We're going in as underdogs, but it should be a good game. You guys have any thoughts? And I will talk to you again soon. See you later.